Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you today. And before we begin, I want to say something important. Uh, this podcast is not about giving lessons, it's not about telling people who they should become. Because we are all different. We come from different countries, different cultures, different educations, different experiences, different fears, different dreams. And maybe some things I share here will deeply resonate with you, and maybe some won't, and that's perfectly okay. Because through this podcast, I simply want to share reflections, experiences, questions, and lessons that life has taught me through my own journey. And maybe you will simply take from it whatever feels meaningful for you, your life and your own path. Because despite our differences, there is one thing I've learned over time. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. And maybe another reason why I wanted to create this podcast is because not everyone has access to coaching. Not everyone wants coaching sessions, and sometimes a sentence, a reflection, a story, or simply hearing something at the right moment can already change something inside us. If some of the things I share here can help even a little, then maybe this podcast already has a reason to exist. This moment means a lot to me. I've wanted to create this podcast for a very long time, and honestly, I don't think it's a coincidence that I'm here today. Life has a strange way of leading us exactly where we need to be through experiences, challenges, encounters, stops, and sometimes even through moments we didn't plan at all. Because in my case, at some point, I simply stopped and told myself, come on, Chantal, you want to do this? It matters. So, this is my very first podcast. Today, who am I? I'm a business coach, mediator, trainer, and founder of my own consulting company. But before all of that, I'm also Chantal, a woman. I have two sons, lovely sons, and three wonderful grandchildren. And honestly, life hasn't always been easy. As many of us know, life can sometimes be deeply challenging. Personally, I've had to face obstacles, so many obstacles, personal struggles, difficult decisions, moments of doubt, and periods where I truly had to fight internally. Fight to rebuild, fight to understand myself better, fight to find my place, fight to become more myself, and strangely, looking back now, I think many of those challenges became some of the greatest lessons of my life. It isn't a coincidence that I'm a coach, because very often it's through challenges, through discomfort, through the moments where life shakes us, that we grow the most, because everything I share here come from real experiences, no theories. And part of my journey as a woman also shaped who I became today. I grew up in a rather traditional environment where very early you learn to adapt. As a woman, you learn not to take too much space, not to speak too loudly, not to challenge too much. There was still this unspoken idea that men naturally held the power, made the decisions, and that women were expected to adjust, support, and stay in the background. So, for a long time, without even realizing it, I think I learned more how to adapt than how to truly listen to myself. And maybe that's also why, so many years later, questions like identity, control, self worth, recognition, and inner peace became so important to me. Life then took me in a very different direction. Before becoming a coach, mediator, I spent many years working in large companies and smaller businesses and complex professional environments. And over time, I realized something very simple. Behind performance, results, status, or success, there are always human beings. Human beings trying to feel recognized, trying to feel enough, trying to feel at peace with themselves. Because honestly, for a long time, I didn't even understand why people talk so much about knowing yourself. Nobody really teaches us that. We grow up learning how to adapt, how to succeed, how to respond to expectations, how to move forward, but very rarely how to truly listen to ourselves. And maybe that's why the topic I want to explore today matters so much to me. Control. Why do we need to control? The way we try to control life, situations, outcomes, people, even ourselves, and most of the time we do it. We do it for a reason. Fear, pressure, expectations, the fear of uncertainty, sometimes the fear of emptiness. Recently, I experienced something that made me reflect deeply on this. I had just arrived in London, and honestly, I arrived there more as a businesswoman than simply as myself. I had very clear objectives to create connections, to attend international conferences, to make this trip useful, meaningful, and productive. I was highly focused on my goals and results. I wanted every moment, every hour, every bit of energy, and every investment to count. And I think many leaders, entrepreneurs, managers, and honestly, many women and men know exactly what that pressure feels like. This constant pressure to make everything useful, efficient, successful, to make sure every experience counts. Because sometimes, without even realizing it, we become so focused on performance, expectations, results, and pressure that we slowly disconnect from ourselves. And yes, I'm a coach, helping people, guiding people, and organizing reflect, grow, better understand themselves, and navigate relationships, pressure, conflicts, change, and emotion. And emotions is literally my work every single day. But even as a coach, I'm still human. I'm still learning, still evolving, still questioning myself. No matter who we are, our experience, our role, I acknowledge we are all still human beings trying to navigate life. And during that trip, I started asking myself something important. What if trying to control everything is actually preventing us from receiving what is truly right for us? What if letting go a little, trusting life a bit more, and truly listening to ourselves could lead us somewhere much more meaningful? Because things didn't go as planned. Due to demonstration happening in London, part of the conferences were cancelled, others were reorganized, and the last day became mostly online sessions. At first, I felt frustrated, so frustrated, as if everything I had imagined, planned, and organized was escaping my control. And then, little by little, something shifted. Instead of forcing the experience, I slowly opened myself to something else. And then, one morning, I decided to book a yoga class at the Sky Garden in London at 8 a.m. I wanted to try something new, something different from what I had originally planned. The Sky Garden is an incredible place, more than 160 meters above London, surrounded by gardens, light, plants, and silence, with one of the most breathtaking views over the city. And I remember arriving there early in the morning, above London, in that atmosphere of calm and openness, and feeling something very special for the first time in a long time. I felt like I was finally taking a step back, not only physically, but emotionally too. I started observing more, breathing more, feeling more present, And that moment made me realize something important. The more I was trying to control the experience, the less I was actually living it. Sometimes life doesn't give us what we originally planned, but gives us what we truly need. And strangely, the moment I stopped trying to control everything, something else emerged. This podcast, a project I had carried inside me for more than a year, a project I kept postponing, overthinking, trying to perfect, and on the last day in London, after finally slowing down, taking a step back and allowing myself to experience things differently, I wrote my very first podcast. And somehow, that project finally came alive. The moment I stopped trying to force everything, stop controlling. Maybe if I had heard some of these reflections earlier in my life, some things would have felt more fluid sooner. And maybe that's what we forget. Sometimes life doesn't give us what we originally planned, but maybe it gives us what we truly need, because the more we reconnect with ourselves, the less we need to constantly fight, prove, compare, or controlling everything around us. Not because life becomes perfect, but because we become more honest with ourselves, we are more honest with ourselves, more peaceful, more fluid with life. Because very often the conflict we have with ourselves slowly becomes conflict with the outside world too. And maybe reconnected with ourselves is not about becoming perfect, but simply about becoming more at peace with who we are. And honestly, I could probably speak about these subjects for hours. Becoming more at peace with who we are. Because throughout my life, I've experienced so many moments like this one. Moments of pressure, silence, inner conflict, questions about identity, recognition, expectations, or simply trying to find my place. And maybe in future episodes, I'll continue sharing some of this reflection with you. For example, why is silence so uncomfortable? Why do we need validation? Or why do we accept? Why do we accept what no longer feels right? What roles do we sometimes play without even realizing it? What would change if we replace it? I have to with I choose to. And why are some our deepest conflicts the ones we have with ourselves? Because all these invisible things shape our lives more than we realize, and underneath all of that, we are simply human beings trying to find what truly feels right for us. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I truly hope to see you again very soon. Take care. Wishing you all the best for you. Bye. Thank you.